Yeah.
That's
So,
okay.
dude, thanks for jumping on a call with me, man. I really appreciate it. It's been a long time, and like I don't think we've really talked since last VR days in November, right?
No, 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 no. I think so either. I don't think so either. So how have you been?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I was at Amusement Expo, because we do the Amusement Expo VR Summit, and it ended on Wednesday, and I was planning on flying to Portugal that weekend.
Yeah.
And Friday morning, I got up and saw the news that the US was closing borders with Europe, and just realized that all borders were going to be shut everywhere. And I was like, all right, well, I don't want to be stuck in Portugal. And Kylie was with me, and she's an Australian citizen, so they were going to let her back in the US if she left. And so we caught the first flight to Melbourne that day and just got here. And we got in Sunday morning, and then they announced Sunday night everybody that came in was going to be subject to a 14-day quarantine, and we just missed that. And then, which we kind of quarantined anyway because
Yeah.
what we do, we just come here and work. Um, and
Yeah.
then yeah, and then they started shutting borders down, and now I'm in, like, it's not a bad place to be stuck, to be honest with you. And they feel like they've done a really good job of managing the outbreak. They were saying today that the curve looks fairly flat, and new cases are already starting to slow, and they've only got like 4,000 cases or something like that
Okay.
documented, right? Whatever that
Yeah.
means. Yeah, so
And
I'm good. Like, I'm not traveling anywhere. And
no, how's that for you? How's that for someone
you
that's
know,
on the
be,
road all the time?
yeah, be careful what you ask for, right? I said I wanted to slow down a little bit and travel less. I didn't mean that we should have a global pandemic. Like, so be really careful in your manifestation. You have to be really specific about what you want.
Yeah.
So, so VR days, man. What's your thinking? Like, so you've got a conference. It's scheduled for when?
4, 5, 6 November.
Okay, and that's too far out, really, to have an idea of what's going to happen, right?
Exactly, exactly. So it's too far out to say it's not going to happen because I think it will happen. Um, and it's far out enough to start thinking about doing a proper online version running along at the same time, because everyone is doing stuff online right now. So I think in 2, 3 months we can tell what works and what doesn't work. So um, bringing conferences virtually was already a big topic for us, was going to be a big topic for us this year, even before the outbreak. So now it's become even more relevant.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that in a couple of months we will know if people will start to travel again, or from which locations they will travel. Probably there will not be the massive travel at the end of the year we expect we were used to. But I also think that it's important to do an event on immersive technologies because there are many solutions immersive technologies can bring to this new world order. And so, yeah, if at all possible, we will do the event, and we will facilitate people to meet and to exchange ideas on what this new world is going to be like. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's I talked to Harriet Bartlett from Laval Virtual last week, and and they had like the opposite problem, which is the event was about to happen, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it just went from boom, 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 and it got clamped down. Now they've had to pivot in real time, and so and she said it was interesting. She's like, it's forcing them to iterate really quickly and make some fast decisions and get a prototype out there. And how closely are you guys still working with them, and will you be able to
Yeah,
learn
yeah,
from
yeah.
their
Very, very.
experience?
No, we're very close. We're totally on board with each other, so they will be a big part in organizing the event in November. So our teams are merging fully. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So it's
And so what do you
interesting.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
No, I say it's super interesting to see so close what's happening there at this moment, and I think we can have some great lessons from that, and just keep iterating and keep making it better. And so yeah, it's an interesting experience also for all of us.
Yeah. I think that, I think we have to reinvent. I think that, some of the early stuff that I've gone to, I went to the HCC Developers Conference, which was online. And then I peeked into the IEEE conference, which was online. And I
Yeah,
think because there was no time, people are just taking the old conference modalities and trying to put it into virtual reality, which is terrible.
yeah,
And I think that, we're going to have to rethink what's a conference. And one of the things that I think um, Harriet said is the reason people go to conferences is to network and to drink with people. Like you want to go out and hang out and have a beer or have a glass of wine and connect with people. And I
yeah.
think VR is really good at that. And how do we, have you given any thought to that? It's like, how do you leverage VR in a way that isn't the worst of it and is worth the friction, because it's still got a lot of friction associated with it.
Yeah, well, it's on my mind all the time, and I'm thinking. Well, one thing is say the digital part of it, and I think how many people in the room and how do you see each other and how do you connect. I think also in the next couple of months there will be a lot of learnings from that, and at the same time, I also think, do we have to do something physically, or how do you get into a state of mind where you really feel connected to other people you don't know, that you understand that you are really in the same space, not only there in the helmet, but is it also something physical you need to do, or so do we need to send people stuff before the event? Do they do something together at the same moment and post that, or do we have to break it up into smaller groups because it's a bit crowded? It's difficult to um, to maneuver. So, do you need to break it up in smaller groups and have maybe pre-meetings, spread the event out over, say, 2 weeks instead of doing it in 3 days? Because your attention span is, you will not be able to go to an event for 8 hours,
Not online. No
not
way, right?
online. So maybe you have to partition it, and so yeah, I think that's really an interesting puzzle to solve. And
Yeah. It's exciting.
yeah, yeah, it's exciting. It's also exciting, yes. And or do we need to send people headsets for people that don't have headsets? So you buy a ticket, and with the ticket comes a whole box, including a headset that you have during the event. And
Yeah.
you have a great big schedule. At this point, I'm with the headset, and another point I have to write something, or do something, create something, and then upload it. Something we need to do to make it. It needs to happen more, I think, than just in the casket or just online. You have to be involved. But hey,
Yeah.
it's just shooting from the hip here.
Well, stay tuned. We're gonna be doing a lot of experiments. I've got a friend of mine is a vintner, and he has a really high end winery, and they've just started doing online virtual wine tastings, because they used to
Yeah,
host wine tastings in there at the vineyard, and now they can't do it anymore. So they're doing virtual wine tastings. So we're actually going to do one online, and
yeah,
I'm going to record it, and we're going to broadcast it live and see what happens. And I'm reaching out to all kinds of people that are like, how are you staying connected with your customers? How are you using these tools, in this new virtual world? Because, we all thought, virtual reality was going to take a long time to take off. And all of a sudden reality's become virtual, like right
yeah,
overnight. And it's like, oh shit, we didn't see that coming.
yeah. It's and the speed with which everything is happening. That's also daunting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're used to. I think the pace of what is the technological evolution is growing at exponential rates, and I think that we're almost used to that though. Like I feel like there's a lot of people that are seeing this, and including myself to a certain extent. While it's a tragedy, at a personal level, at a macro level, it's really exciting because like it's constraint drives innovation. There's been a lot of research around that. And so by constraining us
Yeah.
physically and emotionally, they're causing, really smart people out there to create really amazing things. And so I'm really excited to see what you and your team come up with. Do you have any initial ideas? Like what's been the thing? Like, oh, we could do this. Has anything like really grabbed you as a possibility yet?
For the online part or for the virtual part of the event?
Whatever, like
Well,
any of it.
at the moment, it's really thinking how do we solve things with sponsors, exhibitors, with ticketing, with organizing ourselves, with the location. Um, but I have to say that so we from the start I thought the event has to be about the business side of things, the science, the art. So it has always been very broad because I thought, okay, we're virtual reality is something so new. We're creating a new world, so we need all kinds of different inputs from people with different perspectives if we want to create a rich virtual environment. And instead of just focusing on one vertical. And I think in and this has always been a challenge for us. Uh, but I always believed that it was important, and I think right now when the world is in such a state of shock, it's even more important to have this eclectic group of people, of thinkers together. So I'm very happy that we can, and now we have to think of a way to bring them together. Hopefully it can still be physical, but there definitely will be an online part of it. um, and so yeah, we were thinking more along the lines of, well, these are sort of a new horizon or new horizons we have to face as a society. And in
Yeah.
virtual reality, we're already working on it. So this will be the New Horizons edition, where we're going to check and explore how immersive technologies shape the world of tomorrow. And this is really what I think every exhibitor, attendee, uh, everyone that's going to be working with us for the next couple of months for this event, that's the challenge. How are we going to use immersive technologies to shape the world of tomorrow? How can we make it
Yeah.
better? How can we how can immersive technologies bring comfort in times of isolation? Can they because there's still sometimes it's also because of the technical part, but it's can be cold, the digital part. But how can we immersive technologies do use all our senses, and how can we make it even can we make us feel even more connected? I think
So it's
that's the
really
challenge.
interesting. So it's really interesting. Now you and I have sat across the table at a bar in Amsterdam and had this type of a conversation,
Yeah.
looking each other eye to eye. And now we're doing it virtually. How does that feel? Can you go back to how does it feel different? Because it's the same two people, it's the same conversation essentially, but the difference is we've got, I don't know how many 15,000 miles and a couple of
Yeah.
computers between us, but it still feels different, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does also. It's also comforting to see each other and
Yeah.
I think it would be great if I would maybe see a little bit more of your space, or I don't know, that or yeah, or at least could touch you a little bit, or just shake your hand, or
Yeah, yeah.
give you a
Like
hug.
there's still something missing.
Yeah,
And some of it is 2D versus 3D, right? I mean, I think if it
yeah,
was 3D, it would feel better. I think, yeah, the fact that I'm looking at you through a bit of a keyhole and you're looking at me through a bit of a keyhole,
yeah. And I
we're
have to
seeing
sit
each
all the
other's
time in the
retina.
same position. I cannot
Yeah,
so go like this, and
yeah.
although it would be comfortable for me, it's a bit like
And there are, and so it's interesting how technology can solve that. Like, so one of the things, like, so what are the problems we need to solve? I think that's the
yeah,
first step we have to decide as a community, as a planet, is like, all right, what are the new problems that are being thrust upon us? Because I've been saying all along, virtual reality is a technology looking for a problem to solve, especially at the
yeah,
consumer level, right? And so now we've got a problem to solve. We're all disconnected, and it can bring us together and create this sense of presence
yeah,
that you don't get with 2D screens and with video conferencing. But there's auto tracking technology, there's live stream, like the live stream camera which I have actually auto zooms in and out based on who's speaking and can track your faces. And so if we could sit back and the camera would zoom in on me or pan out or whatever. And so I
yeah,
think that there's technology available today that could make this better. And I think
yeah,
that's going to happen pretty quickly, because I think this is how we're going to be communicating for forever. It's never going to go away now, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's never
yeah.
going away. Now, hopefully, it's not the only way we communicate. We're not like locked in our houses for all eternity, because that would be a shitty life. Um,
Definitely. Hey,
yeah,
so how do you see it from a hygienic point of view? Because you're in the LBVR space,
yeah,
headsets go from head to head. Also, well, an event like ours is also, no, there's a lot of headsets, there's a lot of people, and yeah, you were
yeah.
happy
It's
if
a
it
good
was an
question.
hygienic, yeah.
I don't like that question. Look, look. I think there's a couple of viewpoints. One is, I think this is calling all hygiene into question. It's not just about headsets. It's,
Yeah,
I had a bit of an argument with Amy Hedrick from in an email from Cleanbox, because she was, I still call it hygiene theater, and obviously it's taken a more serious, dramatic role. It's gone from comedy to drama or to horror, depending on your perspective, as far as the type of theater.
yeah,
But my thing is, like, if you're not going to disinfect all the surfaces that we touch, then disinfecting the headsets isn't enough, right? You got to disinfect the controllers, you got to disinfect the doorknobs, you got to disinfect the seat, because you touch stuff, you touch your face, and it's everywhere. And so I think what's going to happen from one perspective is it's going to it has broadened our view of hygiene in general. So it's going to be less of a focus on headsets and more of a focus on everything.
yeah,
That being said, I think, I don't know, I think people are going to be, more people will be squeamish about it than there were before. We saw, like, observationally, I saw 1 out of 5 people in an FEC that was offered the ability to self-serve clean a headset would do it. So about 20% of the people cleaned the headset. So 4 out of 5, and then it would get done. It wouldn't, and then it would get done again.
yeah,
And so my guess is that number goes up.
yeah,
I don't know. Let me ask you a question. When this first came out, we were all washing our hands like every 10 minutes, right?
yeah,
And I just went to the store and came back and I just realized, just thinking about it, I didn't wash my hands when I came back. Like, I was doing it religiously for the first week or two. And now I've just kind of gone back to my old habits because I'm in the house all the time. How have you found that? Like, what are you doing hygienically different now? You've been in lockdown for a month.
yeah. So with the hand washing, it also was. I think I went to the store yesterday. I think I did wash my hands when I got back. Yeah, I did. However, my daughter, yeah, her hands are already like, her skin is getting too rough, and she's 4. So then she just washes her hands in the palms and not that hard anymore on the surfaces. So it's slipping there a bit.
And I just wonder, like, I feel like humans tend to slip back into old, long-standing behaviors really quickly. And so I think some of that depends on how long this goes on. If this goes on for 18 months, is there going to be an amusement industry to come back to be honest with you? Like, and what
Yeah,
does that look
well,
like if it's,
I don't think it can last more than 2-3 months. If it lasts
yeah.
more than 2-3 months, then I think it will be social unrest, and people will just ignore everything.
Well, look, I don't think we're going to stay at this level of lockdown for that
No,
long, but it is conceivable that because the entertainment centers were the first ones to get shut down, right? Trampoline
yeah,
parks, movie theaters, etc. They'll be the last to allow to open. And so, there's various stages of opening that we're going to go through. And I
yeah,
think the entertainment industry is going to be the last ones. And the movie theaters are already busting the windowing, right? They're going direct to consumer now with $20 pay-per-views. The studios are, and bypassing the theaters. And so, like, I don't know,
really,
Disney, like, when's Disneyland open? That's what I want to know. When
yeah,
are they going to let Disneyland open again? I don't know, man. I'm concerned.
yeah. And so, yeah, I didn't thought I hadn't thought about that yet. But that's true. The entertainment parks industry.
I mean, it's basically putting a whole bunch of people together, and there's no way you social distance in the line to Space Mountain. And
No,
and if they had to, and this is the other thing, like, if they have to constrain capacity, could they even operate those parks profitably? Like, if you had to cut capacity by 70% at any family entertainment center or theme park or movie theater, could you even operate profitably? And if you couldn't, why bother opening? And these are questions that we haven't gotten to yet, but these are some of the things that I think about.
so where do you think is where can immersive technologies lead us? Do you think? What do you see as opportunities and it's opportunities? Maybe a little bit of a difficult word to use now that so many people are suffering and.
Some of the people, if I can jump in on that, some of the people are suffering are small business owners who have to look for
Yeah,
opportunities. And
yeah,
so I want to make sure that people understand your intent behind that question, because
yeah,
there's this thing of, oh, we shouldn't be talking about money because we're trying to save lives. And I think what people aren't understanding is that if there's a set of people in this world who rely on money to live, and the government is not going to be able to support everybody forever, and at some point that's going to cost lives. Like, we're already seeing suicide rates spike. We're seeing domestic abuse spike. And
yeah,
so, this isn't about lives versus money. This is about lives versus lives versus lives, and whose lives are we saving and whose lives are we sacrificing? And that's the debate that this is going to switch to pretty quickly. And so, from that perspective, I think that what we can do. I think the biggest thing that VR. Let's talk about VR. I think what
yeah,
VR can do is bring people together,
yeah,
because it creates this sense of telepresence. So the platform Engage, which is the one that HTC Vive used for their developer conference, does a pretty good job of photorealistic avatars. You upload a photo, and it uses AI to map that photo to your avatar, and it's kind of like you kind of see each other, and you see your face, and it mimics your mouth movement. And it's not amazing, but it's pretty darn good. And in a
yeah,
small, close environment, you kind of get that sense of presence. And so
yeah,
I think that that's something that you're going to see. Hopefully, you're going to see a lot of development revenue going into, and people accelerating, and
yeah,
bringing this ability to bring people closer together in more meaningful ways when we're disconnected, whether that's because we're locked at home or we're across borders. Because the next thing that we're going to have to deal with is this hyper nationalism that's going on, right? So, some people said, oh, this is going to be the end of nationalism. And if you look at what's going on, like, everybody's closed their borders to everybody else. And people are finger pointing, oh, you're not doing a good enough job of this, and you're not good
yeah,
enough job of that. And so nationalism's gotten worse during this crisis. And the way we break down those borders is people like, you and I, and different people from different cultures and different countries and societies connecting on a meaningful one-on-one basis. I think VR can do that really well if we
yeah.
create the platforms to get the technology out there.
Yeah, so that's the challenge and the opportunity right there. Yeah, I also
Yeah.
think this connection and a feeling of belonging together. That's the one. I had a great experience at Sundance, one of my last travels before this happened, from a piece by National Theatre. And well, it was an entertainment piece. So we saw a singer, and we were with the headset, and we saw the representation of other people in the space, but not totally their bodies. And I think the nice thing that you knew there were like a reasonable amount of people, so it wasn't too crowded, and you could hear them before the show started, and then the sound of the show took over. But just that feeling like before, if you're before a show starts, the Zoom, the buzz of people that are there, that are real.
You get a sense you're part of a community. That's the other thing we're lacking now is
and that's something that's what you well, I think that's an important feeling to have, that we're
it's one of, like, if you believe Maslow was even remotely right, that was a base need, right? Is being part of something bigger than you. And
and I think for this is what I want to achieve when we have the event in November, because this is also what we all need, So that I want to see. Can we do it for our event, and maybe create a sort of a case study of what can you do to make people feel really together and belonging together, even when they're not physically. Yeah. So that's the goal. That's the point on the new horizon right now.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, and what are some of the biggest challenges you're faced with right now as an organizer?
Well, right now it's talking to the getting sponsors and exhibitors, and finding the right proposal for them. So we've been talking to a couple, and people are also they also long to do something again, to go out there again, and to present themselves, and and then November is still way ahead. But so we will go out this week with say our Corona clause or our Corona policy. You say, okay, if you book before the end of August, you will get a full refund. If we have to cancel, after that we cannot. If it's between September and November, we cannot give a full refund anymore, because then we're also just
spending the money.
We're already, of course, so it's about sharing the risk. Who can take which risk? We don't.
By the way, that's a great way to create a sense of urgency to get people to move. By the way, it's like from I'm a marketer by trade, right? And so I'm always wondering, like, how do you create urgency and scarcity to drive action? And the fact that you get in early and will protect your investment is a really smart way to get people, because you got to measure how many people are interested in this, because at a certain point, if nobody's interested, then how do you put on a conference, right? So it's really smart.
Yeah. And and then it's about adapting. And then maybe no one is interested, or less people are interested in being there with a big stand. But what are they interested in? Everyone is interested in talking to new clients and talking to new leads. So our job is to connect people. Our job is to connect people. We always did it physical place, and now we still have to connect people, but maybe in a different way. make meaningful connections. That's what that's what we are about, and that's always what I enjoyed doing in life. And so it's about creativity. No? It's about being creative. It's about being resilient, but don't give up, and putting the technology into the best possible use.
Yeah. When you're talking to a venue, for example, are you planning on using the same venue you've used in the past, or do you
Yeah,
have?
yeah, it's booked.
So you've got a relationship there, right? And so,
Yeah.
what's their mindset right now?
So, well, their mindset is so we broke up the contract, which is that's always the contract is a part is physical space and part is all the services related to that. Now we broke that in half. Said, okay, we will book the services at a later point, but you have to book the space because
Yeah.
otherwise, because everyone is now looking for spaces in the last part of the year. So you got to do it, and you don't want to break their balls because yeah they also have their families, they have their rent to pay. It's so or mortgage. So it's about we have open discussions and how do we uh, share the risk here, because
Yeah.
we are confronted with a very big new risk that we all our terms and conditions did not think of coronavirus. uh, Insurance companies, they don't insure corona anymore. They stopped 2 months ago insuring it. I was too late. uh, um, so it's really yeah, you have to spread it out. I'd like to see no one going bust through corona. Probably that's too difficult, but let's try to keep as many families uh,
Yeah.
and businesses afloat.
So it's interesting that conference organizers are all trying to reschedule and push their conferences later in the year. So you're seeing, it's going to, so they're going to be competing for space. If things open up by then, you're going to see competing for
Yeah,
space. Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and but it's the world will keep going, and we just will have to reinvent ourselves, which is
Yeah.
also exciting, and it's but of course also frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what can I do to help?
So yeah, well, we still have let's do another location-based VR summit. Let's do it in whatever shape or form.
Yeah.
What is this? How is this impacting our world? What is the way forward? I think
Yeah.
I, I think it's more relevant than ever to organize something around this at this moment. Also, because it also needs to be a point. Uh, Maybe it's not only about the technology and our industry, but it will also be a moment where you know where you will meet again the people and you can just also reflect on the year that has passed and the challenges we have faced and are still facing. So I think it's also from a human perspective important moment to say, okay, we're going to
Yeah.
get together with this group of people and just share experiences.
Yeah. I wonder if you don't need to broaden it, just to entertainment. Because look, the consumer VR market has been small and nascent, and is certainly going to pick up steam based on this. I think, no pun intended. And location-based entertainment has been a niche market, and so
Yeah,
and a lot of the stuff that you're seeing in the location-based space starts in the consumer space, and so maybe just having a VR gaming segment, whether it's location-based or consumer or whatever, and continue to
yeah,
bring those together might be a broader approach to hit a broader audience. And then I think the conference, the virtual work, like this whole notion of working virtually
Yeah.
is something that there's a lot of interested in. Charlie Fink, who writes for Forbes, and he's been, in the industry for decades. He's writing a book now on, virtual work and
Yeah.
how that's gonna. So I think there's a lot of interest in that space as well, and kind of tracking that along with conferences and, the corporate training thing, which was already picking up speed and getting traction. But I really feel like this new mode of working remotely, like our a friend of mine, Robbie Van Atabay, recently, posited that when CFOs start looking at the fact that all their workers are working remotely and they're paying all this money for rent and office space and occupancy space, they're not going to want to have people go back into an office if they don't have to. And
Yeah.
so, once people prove that you can work remotely, and there's been, lots of evidence that says people are more productive when they're working from home, how are we going to enable that? And how is immersive technology further that as well? And so that's something that I think you're going to see a lot more people. It's not just Zoom. Like Zoom's a good temporary fix, but I think there's, I think VR and AR and some of these other technologies are going to make that a hell of a lot more practical over the next year or two.
Yeah. 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 I think so. And it's also, we are also would have to think about, because putting everything in a small time frame of a couple of days, I think it will not work. I think it needs to be maybe spread it out over a little bit of a longer period of time. So, because if you go to a conference, you also, you read the program, but you don't. You think, I'll get there, and once I'm there, I'll move around and I'll find my people, and I think
Yeah.
that will be a lot different in with a virtual conference. So I think it needs a little bit of better or other kind of planning and communication and pre-work.
I think that's a big one, and it'll be interesting to see how you guys and other people, conference organizers, tackle that. Just the modality of trying to, because of travel costs are so high, you've been trying to cram as much in as a small period of time as possible. Now, when you remove travel costs potentially for some people, what's the right, more natural
Yeah,
cadence of an event
yeah,
like that? And when
and
you have people from around the world too, like, I'm
yeah,
going to be
time
doing
zone.
I'm going to be moderating a panel for Laval Verts at 2 a.m. here in Australia.
Yeah, which is it's kind of impossible.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not. I'll do it, but I might be,
Yeah.
Cool.
So those are also interesting things. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm really, really, I know you're freaking smart as can be and creative, and you've got a good team that you work with.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see how you rise to this occasion.
Yeah. Well, I'm also excited to hope to see what you will be up to, and hopefully, we can work together on this. And
Yeah.
because your insights are great, you see a lot, and you're a super creative guy yourself.
Thanks.
So let's hopefully. Are you up to it? Are we gonna?
Yeah. Look, high five,
Hey.
we're virtual high five, right? We are, look, so much has changed. I had, what is it? Life is what happens while people are making plans. There's some old saying like that. And,
Yeah.
and all those plans are out the window, and I'm staying, I tend to be emergent anyway, and just kind of like try to take things as they come. And this one's a
Yeah.
big one, and this has been hard to
And,
swallow
but
and hard to get my head
yeah,
around,
yeah,
but
yeah. But and for your business, what's it been like for your business?
yeah, it's like my mentoring and workshop practice has just literally gone to zero. Luckily I had a really good Q4 and a good Q1, and so financially, I'm probably can weather this storm for the foreseeable future. So I'm not financially on the edge like some of my friends are and people that I've worked with are, and I'm really worried about them.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I think that but the practice that I built, you know, in location-based VR specifically, that industry's gone to, it's literally gone from, I don't know how many billions of dollars a year in revenue to zero almost overnight. Never seen an entire industry disappear. The restaurant industry too, right? Just gone to zero. And so, yeah, so I'm just taking the time to create. I wanted time to write. So I'm writing a new book called Being Virtual, and hopefully that'll be done by the end of the year and be out with a major publisher. And it's about, you know, and the scope of that book is expanded now because, you know, I think the notion of virtual is changing. What does that term mean? It's changed.
Yeah,
it's not just virtual reality.
Yeah, that's also what I'm. What's in my mind? What's spinning around in my mind? You know, virtual. How can we? Because I think this might be good for the event as well. You know, it just
maybe it's virtual days instead of VR days, right?
Exactly, virtual days. Yes,
and you could and look, and from a sponsorship standpoint, right? You need sponsors. I imagine Zoom has some money, and you know, and Microsoft with Teams and ways of virtually collaborating, and so maybe there's an expansion. That's what I've done. I've expanded the scope of my practice outside of location-based VR, which doesn't exist right now. And I don't know how long it's going to be to come out, and looking at what does virtual mean? And I've been a virtual, people call me Virtual Bob because I don't have a house. I travel around the world.
Yeah.
I've worked from home for 25 or 30 years on and off, but certainly probably for half of my career, I've worked remotely, whether that's within an organization or for myself. And so, you know, I feel like you know, I've become a bit of an authority on being a virtual being. And so, you know, and so what does that mean to people? And that's what I'm trying to figure out. And that's what I'm talking to people about. It's like, what does this all mean to us as a species? How do we maintain our humanity and our sense of being human when we're no longer able to do the things the way we've been able to do them since the beginning of time, which is together?
Yeah. No, this is really these are the questions we're now facing. So virtual days, so still call it VR days, but in long copy, just call it virtual days.
Yeah.
Instead of virtual reality days.
That's
VR
a freebie.
days. Huh?
It's a freebie.
Sorry?
That's a freebie.
Thank you. Thank you. I might do it. We might do it. No, but it's about, and I always I felt a bit hijacked by the title VR days, because you know, immersive technologies is so much more than just the headset.
But immersive technologies is just like, what does it mean? And it's cold.
Yes, like cold. XR, like XR for me. XR,
I hate acronyms. I'm not an acronym guy.
Is also cold. So
yeah.
Virtual days
or something.
All right.
Get on GoDaddy, see what's available.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. So good to hear from you and to see you. And I wish I could give you like a virtual hug.
Bring it in.
So cool.
It's great. Well, it's great. Really great to talk to you. Let's keep this conversation going, and
keep me posted on what's going on too, and let me know how I can help. And
definitely, and see you at Laval.
Yeah, we'll see you I'll be in VR, I guess. I don't know. I got to figure out how to make all that technology work in the next week or so. So yeah, I'm doing a panel actually on virtual work and virtual conferences. So I'll be doing a bit of a presentation and then I'm moderating a panel. It's exciting.
Great. Look forward to it.
Yeah, cool. Good to see you again.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
Talk later. Bye.